You're listening to KEXP. You can find us at 90.3 FM in Seattle, 92.7 FM in the Bay Area, and at KEXP.org and on the KEXP mobile app streaming worldwide. I'm Cheryl Waters. I'm here in the KEXP studio with a band who is so beloved to KEXP and our audience. They've been live on KEXP many, many times. It's been a while, though, so we're so happy to have Washed Out back in the KEXP studios. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
I'm absolutely loving the new album, Notes from a Quiet Life. I'm excited to talk to you about it a little bit, but you want to play some songs first?
All right, let's do it.
Washed Out live on KEXP. You're listening to Washed Out live on KEXP, playing songs from the new album, Notes from a Quiet Life. You're tuned into KEXP, listener-powered radio. Today we've got Washed Out live here in the studios.
there in front of me. I feel it all the time, can never seem to make it out. On the other side, I think I finally figured out my life. My eyes are open now. I see you closer now. Sometimes it's just too hard to think. Sometimes it's just too hard to read. When everything you thought you'd want now just doesn't mean a thing. Once I saw the light, there was no turning back. On the other side, I think I finally figured out my life. It's right in front of you. So what you gonna do?
You're listening to Washed Out live on KEXP. Ah, that was awesome. Notes from a Quiet Life, the new album from Washed Out on Sub Pop Records. Thank you so much. That was beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Your music makes me so happy, and I love your voice. Do you like singing? Is that something you've always done?
I never intended on being a singer, actually. I made instrumental music for a long time, and actually the first Washed Out recordings, I was planning on someone else coming in and singing the demos, but here I am. I guess I've become a little bit more comfortable, but yeah, so much of the Washed Out sound is like lots of layers and lots of effects to sort of make it a bit more palatable, I think.
I know you have 2 young sons. Do they like to sing? Are they?
They do, yeah. They're into a little bit different music than my taste.
What are they singing?
We joke about how they're super into Imagine Dragons because I guess their music is like on Fortnite and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that's melodic.
it's playing all over the house all the time, which is really awesome.
I love it. I love it. Well, you shouldn't judge whatever moves their heart.
Totally.
I'm sure it'll change over time. Well, Ernest, after spending much of your adult life living in cities, I understand that you moved to a former horse farm in rural Georgia, not too far from where you and your wife grew up. And I'm curious how moving to that sort of more bucolic environment impacted the creation of this new record. I'm guessing Notes from a Quiet Life.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we lived in Atlanta, Georgia for a long time, and I always had really small, like, bedroom studios or a converted garage, or, it was always in the interior of the home. So I would say the biggest change is that I have my own separate space. Like, the previous owner of this property had built a cabin, and I've kind of converted into a studio. But I guess the main thing is the peace and quiet. It's the cabin is on the opposite end of the property. I never see anyone. Which I really enjoy, and then just obviously like the changes in lifestyle, I can just really focus on the stuff that I really care about. Family and work are the 2 big things. So I've enjoyed it so far, but there's certainly pros and cons.
You can't work on music 24/7 like I know you have in the past.
Yes.
And
yes.
how has that been, kind of like, putting a time limit on it?
Yeah, no, it's a nice balance. Yeah, having children, it was hard to turn off, for better or for worse. But yeah, it's obviously around 5 o'clock, like a normal working dad. I'm, on the clock with the kids, and it's a mad scramble till 9 o'clock or whatever when they're going to sleep. And by that point, my wife and I are super tired. So yeah, just kind of taking a break and a breather and sort of clearing my head means that the next day coming in, I feel like I have a lot more fresh perspective, which is nice.
You've talked about creating a palette of sounds for each project, and I'm curious what that palette looked like for this new record and how that process differs from album to album. I mean, how do you balance reinvention with maintaining that core washed out sound, which you definitely do from album to album, even though every album is very different?
Sure. Yeah, that's the biggest challenge, I would say. I never want to make the same album twice, and I always want to try new things. So it's actually the most fun part of the album cycle, I guess, in general. Like, we finish this tour, and then I'll have a few months at home, and it's just trying a bunch of things, throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks. And normally after, making many sketches, like a palette will appear, and often it's like a certain instrument or something that just feels right. I think each album, there was one particular instrument, that like really stuck out. And once that came together, and just ideas about harmony and stuff like that, it just slowly starts to take shape, brick by brick.
How many songs would you say you had that these 10 came from?
Oh, no, I'm too ashamed to admit.
Come on. No one's judging here.
I mean, there were over 100, probably 150 demos. There were these sketches, some more, filled out than others. But that's
pretty common. I hear that a lot.
Yeah, we were kidding around. Like, some of my early records, we've had like 10-year anniversaries and stuff, and have talked about, like, people do like special editions with like extra demos. And back then, I mean, I barely had enough songs just to finish an album. So it's quite different now where, there's plenty of material for the special edition stuff down the road.
Will you go back to some of those demos for future albums, or do you start fresh every time? Because you talk about that new palette or working with a different instrument.
It's hard to go back. It's almost, I think of my songs like diary entries or something, so it's nice to revisit them. But I'm always kind of just interested in bringing something new to the mix. But there has been occasions where, stuff has been recycled and reformed maybe.
I know that you're a visual artist as well as a musician, and I believe self-taught in both music and art.
Yeah.
And you find inspiration both for your music and your art from other artists, painters, and sculptors. And I know that you do a lot of research.
Sure.
I've read you talk about that before. At what point do you know, okay, I got to stop, and now I'm going to dive in? I mean, where does that balance fall?
Yeah, it never stops. I have a background. I was a librarian for a number of years, right before the Washed Out thing started, so maybe it stems from that. But the research side of what I do has just gotten more and more insane. I use stuff like software like this program called Notion. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but it's just a note-taking app, and you can get really deep with categorizing things and linking to things. And so, it's starts there, and just anything I see that's interesting, I kind of throw into a folder. And like I said, just sort of like with the palette of musical sounds, there'll be, the flip side of that is the visual, palette. And it kind of naturally takes shape, and, sometimes I'll like stumble into a museum and see something that, is really inspiring, or looking through a magazine, or you never know where it's going to start. But again, like the music, it just sort of naturally takes shape.
I know that you've always been very involved in the visual aspect of your records, the album art, the photography, the graphics, the videos. Do you view that all as part of the story of the record? Yeah,
definitely. I think I like to, it's like world building or something, like each album, it's almost like a synesthesia sort of thing where, just listening to the music, I see certain colors that make sense. And it's a lot of fun, especially after, spending so much time on the music. Some of my albums have taken years to finish. And it's nice to sort of put music aside for a while and, work on the visual stuff. And it means that, once that's over with, it's anywhere from 6 months to 8 months is normally like how we're planning to release an album and putting all that stuff together. It's nice after taking a break from music during that period, when I come back, I feel like I'm just really inspired normally. So it's a process, and it's I've kind of figured out a workflow that works well for me.
You talk about taking a little while to make an album. I know it was 4 years since your last record, and you've managed to maintain your creative process while navigating the demands of the music industry. And some people feel the pressure to release so much music in the streaming world, and you don't seem to have fallen prey to that. Do you worry about losing your audience between the gaps in music, or do you think there's just a way to build a fan base by going your own way and not feeding that content into the streaming machine?
That's a really tough question. I think the reason I don't release as much music is it's just hard at this point to reinvent the wheel and come up with something that I'm really proud of. So I think that's the main motivation. But hopefully at some point there's a bit of pushback against the just churning out of content. I hate to. I think. You have to feed the machine and keep people interested. I understand that, but, sometimes it takes time to develop interesting things, and reinventing yourself is hard. So that's kind of been my perspective on it.
Well, people are excited when you get a new album out. I know that for a fact, being on the air, and they're coming out to the shows, yeah?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We have quite a complicated visual element to this show. These guys are inside of these large boxes that are covered with like a translucent scrim that we project onto. And so at times you see them, rocking out. At other times it's just like, a projection surface with these really wild kind of geometric shapes happening. I think it pairs with the music really well. But yeah, it takes us a really long time every day to get it set up. So we're quite exhausted at this point in the tour. These morning sessions can be challenging.
Well, we appreciate you stopping by.
Sure.
I am just so intrigued about your visual art as well as your music. You've expressed interest in making these larger visual art pieces.
Yeah.
And I've heard on your property you're creating kind of a sculpture garden. I'm a big fan of sculpture gardens. I visit them wherever I can. I've yet to make it to Storm King, but I've heard you reference that. I know you don't have 500 acres where you are.
Not quite, yeah.
But tell me a little bit about, your artistic endeavors and sort of your plans and exciting ideas for the future.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much with my music. There's just so, there's this commercial element to it that it's really hard to shake at times. Whereas the visual side of things, I have no intentions of, selling visual art. It's just something I do for my own sake. And there's definitely like a purity there. And, there's... It's just like make a mark, make another mark. There's no like grand plan or anything. But yeah, over the years, I've just become, a huge fan of art. I love when we travel, visiting museums, and just how like, particularly in an outdoor setting, how just simple little sculptures can just like shape the atmosphere of a space. And I don't know. I'm a really big fan of ambient music, and there's some relation there. I mean, my ultimate intention would be to figure out a way to have the sculpture garden element and then some sort of like speaker setup that's in the mix that's just like constantly playing music. But I haven't quite figured out how to do that technically, but one of these days. But
while you make that art for yourself, would that be something you'd open to the public?
I don't know. Maybe again, it's sort of like releasing music. It would have to be something I was really confident and excited about. I'm not sure if I'm quite there yet, but it feels like the sort of thing I'll continue to work on, for the rest of my life. So we'll see.
Well, what's the community like where you are? Have you been able to engage in the local arts community there and foster that kind of creativity?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think in a lot of ways I'm probably like a eccentric artist type that doesn't quite fit in at times, but having grown up there, I have a lot of friends and family, and it's really a great place to raise children, and we really love that side of things, but a lot of people don't really understand what I do. So that can be fun, just like constantly explaining at dinner parties and cocktail parties like what I do, and yeah.
Well, thank you for stopping by today. I know that it can be tough to fit these in, especially with the big setup you have for your show, but absolutely love the new record, and it's always such a pleasure to have you stop by KEXP.
Thank you. Yeah, it's our pleasure.
Thanks to all of you today. It's Washed Out live on KEXP. We want to thank our wonderful viewers and listeners for making sessions like this possible. Learn more about us at kexp.org. We're listener-powered. You can make a gift in support of great music discovery every day here at KEXP. Again, kexp.org. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll let you know every time we launch a great new video like this one from Washed Out. Thanks again. Once again, it's Washed Out live on KEXP.
Thank you.
Discover new music at listener-powered kexp.org.